Hey everybody, it's Ron from Pick Dawgz, and this is Ron's Rundown. We're going to go over the MLB games scheduled for Sunday, May 4th, 2025. If you like this video, make sure to hit that thumbs up button and subscribe. Put your baseball picks in the comments section below. And if you're looking for my best bets, including my daily rundown best bet in Major League Baseball, you can find those at the Premium Picks tab of pickdawgz.com. There's also a link in the description. Alrighty, here we go. Here are the games for Sunday, Major League Baseball. First up, we got the Baltimore Orioles hosting the Kansas City Royals. We've got Michael Lorenzen and Kyle Gibson on the mound. Now, Michael Lorenzen doesn't have the best career numbers against the current Orioles hitters in about 40 plate appearances, a low strikeout rate, and a high expected slugging percentage. I think he does struggle a bit in this start against an Orioles team that's been a lot better against righties than left-handed pitching. On the flip side, we know Kyle Gibson really struggled in his season debut, giving up 9 runs and 5 home runs. He does not have the best numbers against the current Royals hitters in about 130 plate appearances, obviously a much larger sample size. Still a .514 expected slugging percentage, a low walk rate, but I think the Royals can make some sharp contact early, get on the board, and I think we go over the total in Royals-Orioles. Next up, the Minnesota Twins and the Boston Red Sox. Chris Paddack and Garrett Crochet are the starters. I think this is a lopsided pitching matchup in favor of Boston. Crochet hasn't been the sharpest at Fenway Park, but the Twins have not been great against left-handed pitching, and Crochet is still one of the better lefties in Major League Baseball, one of the best pitchers in baseball, coming off a good outing against the Blue Jays, 7 innings, 2 runs, 6 strikeouts. Don't love the fact that he's given up 8 walks his last 2 games, but I think he gets a lot of run support against Chris Paddack early. I think it's enough for a Red Sox win and a run line cover. Maybe worth a look at the over as well, but give me the Red Sox. Next up, the San Diego Padres and the Pittsburgh Pirates. Nick Pivetta and Andrew Heaney are the starters. Now, overall, the last 2 weeks or so, the Padres lineup has not been the strongest. Injuries certainly play a role with that, with Luis Arraez being out, but they have actually been solid against left-handed pitching. They're still right around league average in the last 2 weeks in team OPS, and I think, Andrew Heaney, while he's been sharp this season, coming off one of his weakest starts of the year, he had no strikeouts in 4 2/3 against the Cubs. It's a big concern for me. Didn't miss any bats. He had 3 walks given up, a couple of homers. I think the Padres can get to Heaney, and with Nick Pivetta on the other side and a great Padres bullpen, the margin of error for the Pirates is not very large. I think that they struggle to score, and even if the Padres score 3-4 runs, it could be enough for a win. So I'm going to go with the San Diego Padres on the money line. Next up, we got the Tampa Bay Rays taking on the New York Yankees. Taj Bradley and Will Warren are the starters. Now, I know Taj Bradley really struggled against the Yankees a couple of starts back at Steinbrenner Field, but since that start, he's had back-to-back quality outings against the Diamondbacks and Royals, combined 13 innings of 5-run ball. You'll take that from Bradley. Only the 1 home run given up in those 2 starts combined. And he's actually, going into that last game against the Yankees, he had good numbers against the current Yankees lineup. He struggled in that one, but I think he'll be a little bit sharper in this game. I think the Rays will be able to back him up as well. Will Warren only went an inning and 2/3 against the Rays in that series, in that same game on April 17th. His pitch count went way up early. The Rays had 4 hits and a couple of walks in those inning and 2/3. I think the Rays are going to compete in this one, at least cover the run line, if not win the game outright. In our next game, we've got the Cleveland Guardians and the Toronto Blue Jays. We've got Tanner Bybee and Bowden Francis as the starters. This is a situation, in my opinion, that because Bowden Francis struggles in that last start, giving up 5 home runs and his ERA is now over 5, we're getting the Blue Jays at home at a decent price. And, Tanner Bybee's been inconsistent. He's coming off a good outing, but still has an ERA above 4 on the season. The Guardians have a losing record on the road. The Blue Jays have been much better at home. And, the Guardians have been one of the best teams in baseball in close games late. They have such a strong bullpen. They're a great small ball situational offense. But the Blue Jays were able to take the first game of this series in that situation in a tie game in the 8th. And I actually think they have a strong bullpen as well. Maybe not as strong as the Guardians on paper, but with Emmanuel Clase's struggles this season, I think the door's open here for the Blue Jays to grab a win. So like I said, it may be a low-scoring, close game late, but I'm not necessarily writing off the Blue Jays in that situation. Give me Toronto on the money line. Next up, we got the Athletics and the Marlins. We got J.P. Sears and Edward Cabrera as the starters. I'm going to roll with the under in this game. I think Cabrera is a lot better than his current ERA. He's been in some tough matchups. He pitched at Dodger Stadium last time out against L.A. He's faced the Diamondbacks in one of the best lineups in baseball against right-handed pitching. He's got a lot of upside to his game. I think he's got good strikeout stuff. He's got 20 Ks in 18 2/3 innings. I think he bounces back against the Athletics. And on the other side, JP Sears, we thought originally he was going to go on Saturday. He's moved to Sunday. I think he pitches well. He's had a great start to the season. So like I've mentioned before, we've seen some high-scoring games at Lone Depot Park this year. I think this one's going to be a low-scoring one. I'm going to go with the under in Athletics Marlins. Next up, we've got the Philadelphia Phillies hosting the Arizona Diamondbacks. We've got Eduardo Rodriguez and Ranger Suarez on the mound for this one. Suarez, of course, making his season debut. He pitched really well in his rehab start. His strikeout stuff was off the charts. I think he has a good outing. The Diamondbacks have been a lot better against righties than lefties this year. Erod is struggling. We saw, 8 runs given up, 3 bombs against the Mets. I know it was very hitter-friendly weather in that game, but still, to go 4 innings, 9 hits, 8 runs, not going to get it done. He's given up a lot of base runners in recent games and 4 home runs now in his last 2 starts combined. I think the Phillies win this game and potentially win by a good margin. I would lay 1.5 runs and maybe even 2.5 runs to get some extra plus money on your side. Next up, we've got the Chicago Cubs taking on the Milwaukee Brewers. We've got Shota Imanaga and Freddie Peralta as the projected starters. Now, we've mentioned that the Brewers over the last couple of years have struggled against left-handed pitching, and that's been the case overall this season. But in the last couple of weeks, and overall, you can see a trend. The Brewers are starting to improve a little bit against left-handed pitching, and I think that the matchup here against Imanaga is not the worst one. In a limited amount of work against Imanaga last year, the current Brewers lineup put together some decent at-bats with a high expected slugging percentage and a low strikeout rate. And Freddie Peralta, of course, pitching in the NL Central throughout his career, has faced the Cubs lineup quite a bit. And against the current hitters, he's got great numbers. 133 plate appearances, 31% strikeout rate, low xWOBA at 283. I know the Cubs are a tough matchup. They've been great against righties. They've been great against lefties offensively overall. But I think Peralta can pitch well, quality start. I think the Brewers back him up and win this game. At a great price, I'm going to take the Brewers on the money line. Next up, the Houston Astros taking on the Chicago White Sox. We got Lance McCullers Jr. making his season debut. We got Bryce Wilson on the other side for Chicago. Now, I'm not a big fan of Bryce Wilson, but I do think that there's some uncertainty there with McCullers Jr. making his debut. He did struggle with his control in those rehab starts. The walks were very steep, and we've seen that throughout his career at times. When McCullers struggles, the walks tend to pile up. I think the White Sox, who've been a lot more competitive than many people expected, a 6-10 record at home going into Saturday's game, not too shabby. I think they'll be competitive in this game. Bryce Wilson, I think, will be good enough. The Astros' offense on the road has not been anywhere near as strong as when they're playing at Daikin Park. I'm going to go with the White Sox plus 1.5 runs in this one. Next up, we've got the Seattle Mariners taking on the Texas Rangers. We got Logan Evans and Jacob deGrom as the projected starters. Now, obviously, this is a lopsided pitching matchup. deGrom is the much better option on paper in this game, and Logan Evans only making his second start of his career. deGrom's in great form, but you look at the offenses for these two teams. In the last month, the Seattle Mariners are number 1 in baseball in team OPS against right-handed pitching with a very low strikeout rate, which is something we didn't see last year and even the year before. They struck out quite a bit. A very high walk rate. They're actually number 1 in baseball overall this season in walk percentage against right-handed pitching, and third in isolated power in the last 30 days against righties, while the Rangers near the bottom of the league or right around league average at best in most of those statistics. So I think that even though Evans is not as strong of an option as deGrom, he'll be good enough with a Rangers lineup that's struggling right now against righties, and his offense will be good enough, which has been the best lineup in baseball arguably, with a solid bullpen behind them to win this game. And we're getting such a great price because of Jacob deGrom's big name on paper. I think the Mariners are the play in this one on the money line. Next up, the Rockies and the Giants. We got German Marquez and Logan Webb as the starters. I've taken the under in every game this series. I like the under in this game also. I think Marquez is better than his current ERA, even though he has struggled. But this is a good spot for him on the road at a pitcher-friendly ballpark against a Giants team I still don't trust offensively. On the flip side, Logan Webb looking to bounce back from a tough outing in his last game. We know he's got great career numbers pitching at Oracle Park. That last start was a struggling start on the road against the Padres at Petco. 5 runs and 9 base hits. I think it could be a lot better against arguably the worst lineup in baseball. So I'm going to roll with the under in Rockies Giants. Next up, we got the Detroit Tigers taking on the Los Angeles Angels. Reese Olson and Jack Kohanowitz are your projected starters. Now, Reese Olson's been great this season, but not so much on the road. We've seen him struggle a bit away from Comerica, and he's got an ERA above 6 there. You look at his last road start against the Astros, He was 1 out shy of a quality outing, but still gave up 3 runs and 3 walks in those 5 2/3. Ended up being an Astros win. I think that he could struggle a bit in this game early on. I think that Kohanowitz will be good enough to keep the Angels competitive, at least in the first half of this game. Now, we've seen this Angels bullpen completely collapse in this series, and I think the Angels will win the full game as well, but I'm going to split my bet between the first 5 and the full game because that bullpen has been tough to watch this series. Next up, we got the Washington Nationals taking on the Cincinnati Reds. Mackenzie Gore and Nick Martinez are the starters. Now, the Reds finally won a game with Nick Martinez as starting pitcher. I don't love him in this spot, though. I think that this is a lopsided pitching matchup in favor of the Nationals. Now, the Nationals bullpen has been miserable. It's been the steepest ERA in baseball, so maybe you go Washington first 5. But I think Mackenzie Gore, even though he does give up a lot of sharp contact, and that can be a problem at Great American for sure, very hitter-friendly ballpark, he's still, in that last game against the Phillies, gave up a couple of home runs, but still got a quality start. 6 innings, 6 strikeouts, no walks to go with it. I think he'll be good enough. I think the Nationals bats will be able to back him up against Martinez. So give me the Nats on the money line in this one. Next up, we got the Los Angeles Dodgers taking on the Atlanta Braves. We got Dustin May and Bryce Elder as the starters. I think we see a lot of runs in this game. I like the over. Dustin May pitched really well against Atlanta in the first start of the season back in the beginning of April in Dodger Stadium. But last couple of games for May overall, 10 1/3 innings, 10 runs, 15 hits. He's given up a lot of sharp contact. I think there still are some regression concerns for May going forward. And the Braves in general, the Braves' current hitters have put together some decent at-bats against Dustin May. A high strikeout rate, but a high walk rate and some sharp contact. And we know Bryce Elder has really struggled against the Dodgers in his career. He struggled against them in that same series at Dodger Stadium. 2 home runs, 3 runs in 4 innings. But even the other, past matchups, the Dodgers have gotten to him for a lot of sharp contact, a lot of walks, not a lot of strikeouts. I think Elder struggles, and I think we see this game probably a similar scoreline to what we saw in that Elder start, 6-5 final. I'm not sure who wins it, but I'm going to go with the over in Dodgers Braves. And that's it. Those are the baseball games for Sunday. Hope you enjoyed this video. Again, if you're looking for my best bets, you can find those at Pick Dawgz Premium, and there is a link in the description. As always, this is Romanelli. Good luck.